It is so easy to feel lost and confused if you're at any kind of a crossroads right now. Maybe you're wondering whether you should stay or whether you should go, whether you should commit or whether you should back away, or whether you should play it safe or take a risk. Maybe you've already spoken to friends and family members, but all that did was just add to the confusion. Your head and your heart can't seem to agree, and your gut is staying suspiciously quiet on the topic. So how are you supposed to know how to move forward? Well, in this video, I am giving you a quick and practical 4-step framework that is going to help you utilize your personal natal chart to cut through all of the noise, to cut through everybody else's advice and figure out what is the right decision for you. You can apply this for the smallest decisions and for the really big life-changing ones. So let's dive in. Before we get started with today's video, I just want to remind you that if you haven't subscribed to my Manifestology newsletter yet, this is the perfect time to do that. At the start of the year, this is where we get perfectly clear and aligned on our goals, on what it is that we want to manifest. And then for the remainder of the year, I'm going to help you embody that version of you that has already achieved all of your dreams, all of your goals, to help you, guide you step by step on making those dreams more than just wishful thinking, but turning them into reality. It's totally free and you can sign up below through the link in the description box. But now let's get back into making those big decisions that matter. So the way you can look at your natal chart is it holds a lot of information. Some use it to predict the kind of themes and topics that might be coming up in the future. But one of the most useful and practically applicable ways that you can look at your natal chart is like a personal owner's manual, like a manual for life that so many of us wish existed. So we're going to look at 4 specific placements in your natal chart. Your moon representing your feelings, your Mercury representing your thoughts, your North Node representing the path that your life is pushing you towards, and your Saturn representing that which matters, that which might be difficult, and that which builds something stable that lasts. By the end of this video, you will know the 4 places that you need to check, the questions that you need to ask from each of these places, and how to utilize the answers to those questions to gain clarity. If you would like some personalized guidance to help you with a really big decision, then you can book a one-on-one consultation with me. I do also offer coaching packages for exactly this kind of thing. Again, the link to that you can find in the description bar below. So the first thing we're going to look at is your moon, representing your emotional needs. And it's very important that we look at this in the order that I present these placements to you in this video. So it's very important that we look at the moon first, because the moon represents our emotional needs. And the reason it's so important to look at the moon first and look at our emotional needs first is because it can be so easy for a logical mind to talk us out of our actual emotional needs. This is something I myself have done several times in the past, and let me tell you, every time I have ignored my emotional needs for logical needs, it didn't really work out for me. Whereas on the other hand, if I left seeming logic by the wayside, not totally ignoring it, but making it play second fiddle to my emotional needs, those things did usually yield much better results. That is not to say that they weren't without challenges, but when your emotional needs are met, then you can overcome any of the hurdles and challenges that come your way, and you can grow stronger from them. Whereas if you've ignored your emotional needs, then those challenges tend to chip away at your confidence, they tend to chip away at your energy, and if anything, they undermine you and only make you weaker. And the moon is also the reason why sometimes we can ask for advice from people who very much care about us and have our best interests at heart, but it still doesn't really make sense because our moon placement, our emotional needs are very different to our family and friends' moon placements and their emotional needs. And what makes total sense to them might not really be ringing true for you. So your moon sign will show you what emotional needs you have and what you need in your life in order to feel safe and in order to feel balanced. It is the one thing that is often very difficult to hear because our emotional needs can sometimes be labeled as selfish or impractical, and so we tend to ignore it. But when you do ignore it, you end up making those decisions that look good on paper, but they feel empty and they leave you drained and they feel kind of hollow as well. So the first question to ask is to look at your moon sign and consider, what do I actually need to feel okay? And will decision A or decision B be able to provide that for me? Let me give you an example. Let's say the choice is whether you should move to the countryside or whether you want to move to the city. If you have a moon in Gemini, you need communication, you need stimulation. So life in the city might be much more suited to you because you have a better chance of meeting people, you have a better chance of connecting with people, you have a better chance of finding lots and lots of things that stimulate you. There will be more interest groups that you can join and clubs and places you can go to, gigs and organizations you can join, etc. So that might be more suited to you. But let's say you have a moon in Pisces. A moon in Pisces is very sensitive to their surroundings. It is very switched on to everything that is happening all around. So life in the city for someone who has a moon in Pisces could very easily become overstimulating. It could become too much because you are constantly plugged into everybody else's emotions. And when there's so many people around you, that just gets a little bit too much. So for you, life somewhere further out, somewhere more peaceful and quiet where you can connect to nature would be much better suited. Once you have established what your moon needs, you have a solid base. Then next, we need to look at how we're going to gather the required information to make the best choice. And for that, we are going to look at your Mercury sign. And like I already said, it's very important that you get clear on your emotions first, and then you start gathering information with the help of your Mercury sign, because otherwise it's very easy to get muddled and to get confused and to also start gathering lots and lots of information which you actually don't need because your emotional needs have already been established. So Mercury represents how we think, how we learn, and also how we communicate. Your Mercury sign is going to show you how you should gather more information on making the best decision. If your Mercury sign is very analytical, then you need to be doing the research. You need to be putting in the work and gather as much information as you possibly can. If your Mercury is in a more intuitive sign, then you need to sit with the decision, you need to sleep on it, you need to allow yourself to sit with the information and just feel whatever comes through. Maybe your Mercury is very communicative. In that case, you need other people to talk your decision through with them. So here's some examples. If your Mercury is in an earth sign, in Taurus, in Capricorn, in Virgo, then you need to base information gathering on analysis, on gathering as much information as you can. What is the financial impact of your decision? Is it going to limit any of your options further down the line? You need to be really analytical with your decision, and you also need to take your time. Don't let people rush you. If your Mercury is in an air sign, in Gemini, in Libra, or in Aquarius, then you need to look at this decision from multiple different perspectives. You need to be able to talk it through and see other people's viewpoints. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do what other people say, but just by talking it through and thinking out loud and communicating your thoughts with another person, that is how you gain the clarity. If your Mercury is in a fire sign, so in Aries, in Leo, or in Sagittarius, you're very intuitive on like a primal gut instinct kind of basis, and you're very direct. So for you, it is actually counterproductive to gather too much information. Get the most important information, obviously, about the consequences of your choice, and then go with your gut instinct. Don't overanalyze things if you have a fire Mercury. And if your Mercury is in a water sign, in Cancer, in Pisces, or in Scorpio, you are also intuitive, but on a more emotional level. So you need to feel your way into the decision. Again, you want to gather the most important information, but don't overanalyze things. Sleep on it, sit with it, rest with it, and feel into what each option feels like to you. And it's going to be the one that feels the lightest in your body that is the best decision for you. Now you know how you feel, now you know how you think. The next step is to look at the bigger picture to make sure that the choice that you are making is actually aligned with where you are going in life. And for that, we're going to look at your North Node placement. And here's why we want to do that one third. The North Node is something like your guiding light in life. It is where you are growing towards. But the thing is, that direction often feels uncomfortable. It feels even unpleasant sometimes because it is not something that we know. It is not something that we're comfortable with. So it's very important to gather clarity on your feelings first and your thoughts, and then you can consider whether things are aligned with your bigger picture. And then you can consider whether this is in the discomfort that you want to and need to push past, or whether that's a discomfort that's telling you, no, 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 stay away from this option. Because when you're making a decision that is aligned with your North Node, you're swimming with the current. If you're making one against the North Node, you're swimming upstream. But it won't always look at that like that at the beginning when you're making your decision. It might feel like you're actually taking the easier option, but if it's not aligned with your North Node, the problems are going to start manifesting themselves over time. So the question you need to ask yourself once you've understood your North Node placement is this decision pushing me towards the person I am becoming, or is this decision keeping me stuck in what I felt is safe? So here are some examples as well to illustrate that point. Let's say your North Node is in Aries, with your South Node then being in its opposite sign, Libra. If you have the ability to make a choice that makes you stand on your own, to take charge, to be the first to do something, to make a bold kind of decision, it's the right choice for you. If it's something that's going to keep you people-pleasing, or it's something that's going to keep you dependent and reliant on other people, that's the wrong choice. Let's say your North Node is in Pisces and your South Node is in Virgo. You're becoming someone who is more in tune with their intuition, who is able to let go and follow the flow. So a decision that forces you to surrender, to let go of control, or to serve something that is bigger than you is an aligned decision. A decision that keeps you stuck in perfectionism, in overanalyzing, or in creating lots and lots of little systems for everything, that's a decision that's not aligned for you. And here's the thing, you can ignore your North Node, and nothing dramatic usually happens when you do, but you'll feel stuck. You'll feel like you're not growing as a person. You'll feel like there's just something missing, and that's what we're trying to avoid. So now you know how you feel, how you think, what's actually aligned with your path, and the final step is to look at Saturn, who's going to tell us what is actually sustainable for you over the long term. So Saturn isn't exactly fun. It's not a fun planet, but it's honest. And it will show you what the consequences are of your decision and where there might be a hidden price that you are paying for each choice. And that's why it's important that we look at Saturn as well. And that price that you're paying could be money, it could be time, it could be discipline, it could be commitment, it could be perseverance, it could be a willingness to make uncomfortable decisions or to have certain people not like you anymore. And in that way, Saturn is kind of the voice of reason. It doesn't really dream, it restricts, but it also builds and it solidifies. And it's one of the key players in manifesting anything, at least anything that you're planning to keep for more than a day or two. So the question we're asking when we're looking at Saturn is, what will this cost me, and am I willing to pay that? So here's a couple of examples for you as well. Let's say you have Saturn in Capricorn or in your 10th house. it is crucial that you do things the right way, that you don't take shortcuts. Reputation and status are also very important for this Saturn. So while you're making this decision, ask, will this damage my credibility? How will this affect my standing long term? Does it align with my professional goals? Saturn in this kind of placement will make you work for whatever you want to achieve. The work doesn't have to be miserable, but it has to be sustained over a longer period of time. Maybe you have Saturn in Cancer or in the 4th house. In this case, the themes of family, home, and roots are coming up. So in this case, you need to ask yourself the question, will this destabilize my home life? Do I have the support that I need to realistically go the long way with this decision? Can I handle the emotional weight of either of those decisions? Saturn here wants to make sure that you are protected and that your emotions are protected. Or let's say you have Saturn in Libra or in the 7th house, in which case partnerships and relationships are coming up and they have to be committed with Saturn there. So the question to ask yourself is this person going to be committed to me? Is this a serious partnership that I'm building with somebody here? Or will it take me away from the ability to do that? Saturn here wants you to build something together with another person, but it wants to ensure that it's the right person to go the distance with you. So to summarize and bring it all together, here are the 4 steps that we're taking. First, we're looking at your moon and we're asking the question, what do I need to feel emotionally secure? Second, we're looking at your Mercury and we're looking at what information do I need to make this decision and how do I best gather it? Third, we're looking at your North Node. We're asking, is this decision aligned with the person I am growing into? And fourth, we're looking at Saturn and we're asking, what is the price I'm going to have to pay for this decision and am I willing to pay it? When all 4 of these are aligned, that's your answer. That's your clarity. You move forward. But sometimes there can still be some conflict, right? So sometimes one part can say yes, the other part can say no. Sometimes it can be literally split 50-50. In that case, that's not confusion, but that's a real trade-off. So at least you have gathered now some clarity on what the trade-off is, and you can now face the decision of whether or not you are willing to make that trade-off and prioritize really what is more important to you. Sometimes it can be a yes for both options. In that case, great, you can't lose. Both are go-aheads. If you still can't choose, flip a coin, roll the dice, you can't lose. So this framework works for every big decision, whether that's changing jobs, committing to or leaving a relationship, changing your home situation, going freelance, moving, changing a situation that is no longer serving you. And you don't have to understand all of these placements in total detail. Just pull up your chart, see what comes up, and just see what springs to mind, because you will intuitively understand what is most important to you. That being said, if you are wrestling with a decision and you just can't seem to figure it out, please feel free to book a consultation with me. Like I already said at the start of the video, the link's in the description box, and we can go into some very granular detail on your natal chart, and I can help you find all the information that is relevant so that you can make your decision and your choice from an empowered place. All of the answers you're looking for are already in your chart. You just need to know where to look. So good luck with your decision, and I'll see you next week.